Scorpio. I'm not entirely certain what this February reading is all about, but there's some pretty powerful energies in it. If you look at that central card, the King of Swords, it's about you being wise, but I think it's you getting some information, or at least a way of seeing things. In the recent past, we have the Justice card. I've got the distinct feeling that this was justice against you. It would have been firm, it would have been fair, particularly if you repented. But I get the impression that maybe you didn't repent, and it's still hanging around you, because your current energy is the Eight of Cups, which is you getting disillusioned with something and walking away. So if it was, legal justice, are you disillusioned with the justice system and walking away from it? It's entirely possible. Your future energy is the King of Page of Pentacles. You're going out and looking for money, and I do feel that this justice has left you short of money. There's another page that creates the outcome, and that is you looking for something creative. You looking in more creative ways. Now, given you're looking for money, maybe you're looking for creative ways of making money. Of course, we've got this King of Swords, this wise person. And as I say, I think you're disgruntled with the justice system. And I think you're resolved to doing something about it, but in a creative way. I don't think you're fighting the justice. I think you're simply saying, well, I need to replace the money I've lost. And this idea of loss of money comes out again because we have the Queen of Pentacles. And you'll get fed up of me saying this, but I call her the single mother card, and you don't have to be female and you don't have to have children. But it is maybe a struggle for money. Struggle for money because maybe you have dependents. And so, it could be a divorce, couldn't it? But I'm not certain it is. And the outcome is the Magician card. You manifesting, and I think you're manifesting money. I think you're manifesting money because you feel you've been hard done by this potentially legal justice. It could be another form of justice, but you feel you've been hard done by. As I say, I don't think you're fighting it so much as changing your life somewhat. We're going to have to look at this much further though, and I hope you'll stay with me. Now, the energy that runs throughout it and impacts on all the other energies is the King of Swords. And I thought that was information coming to you, but traditionally it's you being wise, and I think that's a better description of what it's actually about. I do feel that justice, maybe legal justice, has been found against you. And whilst you might not think that it was fair, I think you're taking it in your stride and saying, well, that's how it is. How do I get on with my life? So it is a wiseness that comes from experience, and I think that's important. Now, if it was a legal case, as so often in legal cases, there isn't a clear-cut right and wrong. And I think to a certain degree you accept that. You're accepting the justice, but you're dealing with the implications of it. And that is a true wiseness. And I think you do have that sort of experience, that wiseness, to see things for what they are, which is a very mature attitude. And as I say, I think it runs throughout the entire reading. Now, in the past, we have the Justice card. And it doesn't have to be legal justice, but I've got the feeling that this is legal justice. You look at this card, There's the scales there, but she's also got that kris, and those kris were used for executing people. They put a pad on the shoulder, a pad of cotton, and plunged the kris through the cotton straight into the heart. Now, clearly you're still alive, so that didn't happen to you. But I think you did receive justice of some sort, and it probably somewhat went against you. As I say, I think you're taking it in your stride, as can often be the case, particularly with legal justice. There isn't a clear-cut right and wrong, and maybe you feel a little bit hard done by, but I do think you're taking it in your stride. You're knowing that it's, it was a difficult decision. That's my feeling. What I normally say with justice is if you repent and accept it, then you can move on with your life. And I think you've only partially done that. I don't think you've fully done it. Because I don't think it was a clear-cut case. That's my feeling. Your current energy is the Eight of Cups, and that's one of the reasons why I think you feel that the justice wasn't entirely fair, because you're disillusioned with something and walking away with it from it. I mean, maybe it was a legal case and you brought a case against somebody or something, some company or something like that, and you lost, and it cost you a lot of money. In fact, that's the most likely explanation, although there could be many others, of course. You look at the card, he's walking away from that beautiful lake and he's walking up a mountain, so it's going to be tricky. It's going to be difficult. It's not an easy route, but you're disillusioned and you want to walk away. And you're walking up a mountain that's got a moon over it, so you're walking into the unknown. So I do feel that it's connected to this justice. I do feel it's this wisdom that maybe you've learned the foolhardiness of an individual taking on a large corporation in the courts. Maybe that's it, And, maybe it was one of those situations whereby had you gone to appeal or something like that, you might have won. But they'd wasted enough of your money already, as is so often the case with these complicated legal situations. Now, your future energy is that of the Page of Pentacles. Now, I don't necessarily think you've been left penniless as a result of this justice, but I think you are feeling the pinch a bit. You're finding it difficult to, if you have dependents, look after your dependents. You're finding it difficult to do all that you used to do, for sure. Because this is you going off and looking for money, going off and looking for new money or extra money, as it were. And as I say, you're the king of swords, so you're a wise person. You've assessed the situation and you said, well, I could do with replacing some of the money I've lost in this, and that's what you're doing, and it's a very mature thing to do. He's walking across a somewhat parched landscape, so just as walking up that mountain. Nobody's saying it's going to be easy, but I think there's a determination with you. Now, if that Page of Pentacles is the future, we have another page, and this is a page that impacts on the outcome. And I think this is you. I think it's the same thing, looking for money, but looking for creative solutions this time. Saying, well, maybe there's a different way about going about this. Maybe there's something else I could be doing to make money. Maybe you're exploring some sort of creative options, but I don't think it's that. I think you're thinking creatively about how you can get your life back to where it was before you lost this justice. So you're really thinking, how can I do it? You look at him, he's going along the shore there, and he's got a cup in his hand with a fish in it. So it's something out of the ordinary, something a bit unusual. What can I do is what I think you're thinking of. And what would change the outcome is the Queen of Pentacles. This suggests to me that you have dependence, or you know, the money that you've lost is harming maybe some people around you, or certainly your lifestyle. It's not what it used to be, and things are a bit of a struggle, particularly money-wise. I think you're probably coping okay, but you just don't feel you are. You're conscious of what you've lost. I mean, I often call this the single mother card, and you know, you don't have to be female, you don't have to be a parent. But could it suggest that this court case was a divorce? I mean, it certainly does, but there's no other cards that suggest that to me. So I'm not sure, but what it is telling me is that if you dwell on this, if you dwell on your problems, dwell on your lack of money, you're not going to find money. Because, you know, if you're just thinking you're poor, it's like a wish for being poor, and the universe will respond to that. And the outcome is the Magician card. Now, if you remember, the card leading to the outcome was the Page of Cups, which I said was creative ways of looking for money. Well, this is creative. You're manifesting money. Yes, you're going about manifesting money, and it'll probably work. I mean, it's going to work an awful lot better than wallowing in your sorrows, you know, the Queen of Pentacles. So you're trying to manifest back some of the wealth that you've lost. This is what I believe is happening here. Now, I've not gone off on one on this, so I think we need a bit of clarity on what's going on here. So I'm going to get clarity on this Eight of Cups. What is it that you're disillusioned with? What are you walking away from? And the first card we have is the Eight of Swords. You're putting up barriers. The second card we have is the Death card. So it's suggesting that this justice brought about an ending to something. Was it a marriage? I just don't feel it is. And then the final card is the Five of Cups. So it has affected you far worse than I thought, because this is a card of despair. But remember, you're wise, so maybe you just get over it pretty quickly. Let's look at each individually. This is quite interesting. Now remember, we're clarifying you walking away and getting disillusioned. So the first card of clarity is the Eight of Swords, and that's a card of you putting up barriers. What are you putting up barriers to? I think you're putting up barriers to the justice. You're not accepting the justice. You look, she's got a blindfold on, and I think you're not seeing things clearly. Now, remembering the whole thing, you're the King of Wands, I think you do learn from this. I think you get over it fairly quickly. But right now you're hurting, and you're not accepting the justice, and you're not accepting the implications of it, and that's maybe the most important thing, that it's only later that you realise you've got to find the money that you've lost. And you might not have been, you know, lost, it might have just been legal fees, but you know, you're not quite accepting it right now. Now, there's every indication that this justice was a much bigger deal than I was giving it credit for, because we now have the Death card, a sudden and abrupt ending, a painful ending. You look at the card, I mean, there's the Angel of Death, and it looks like Undercliff Cemetery in Bradford. The sun looks like it's trying to shine through the clouds, as it often is in the clouds over Bradford. But it's bitter. You've lost something as a result of this justice. Now, yet again, is it a marriage? Was this a divorce? It could be. Did you lose a business? I mean, I've kept saying you've lost money, but is it more than that? I'm not sure, but it's certainly pretty bitter. It's certainly pretty dramatic what has happened to you. So no wonder you're feeling the way you are. I mean, it is painful because we now have the Five of Cups, and this is a card of utter despair. So it's not just you walking away, this is a card of absolute despair. You look at it, this rendering is, I think, one of the most painful cards in the entire deck. There he is, he's had 3-4 glasses of wine, he's lying on the bar, and the barmaid's going, haven't you got home to go to, it's time. He's going, bugger off, no, it's painful, it's very painful what has happened to you. And I because you're the King of Swords, I kind of admire you because you do get over this. You get over it pretty quickly, and I have to admire you because it's been bitter, this. It's been bitter. I do feel it's a court, I do feel it's a legal case. I do feel that you've probably brought it against somebody else. I mean, it could be a divorce, but it's not gone the way that you anticipated. But I do think that you bounce back. I do think you bounce back. And I think we can summarise for you now, Scorpio. Scorpio, whilst seemingly it's not a happy reading for February, I think it's a reading that's full of hope. There was some sort of justice. I believe it's a court case. It could be a divorce, but somehow I don't feel it is a divorce. I think it's much more likely that you felt aggrieved against a large company and you took them to court. And I don't think, well, no, you did lose, probably. But you were advised that you could appeal. But you'd already wasted all your money on lawyers. It's that sort of a feeling now that, it might not be that at all. It might not even be a court case. But it's some sort of justice and it's impacted you massively. You want to walk away from it. You're not going to go back to it. But you are in absolute despair. You're in despair and you're putting up barriers really to fully accepting it. Because it's taken something very important away from you, which is why it could be a divorce, because you've lost a family, maybe children. You might have lost a business, you might simply have lost a lot of money, but it's changed your lifestyle and you are absolutely desperate about it, absolutely desperate. But you're a wise person, and what I love about this reading and about you, Cancer, is that you eventually take it in your stride. You say, well, that's life, been there, seen it, it does happen, now I need to get on with my life. And because I think you've lost money, you go looking for money to replace the money that you've lost. Perhaps only in legal fees. It might have gone against you so much as not in your favour. And you're looking for creative ways in replacing this money. And what you actually do is you start manifesting money, which, why not? It will probably work for you. Because there's certainly a warning that you mustn't mope. You mustn't grieve what you've lost. You mustn't think how difficult it is. Oh, how am I going to pay for this? How am I going to look after this? How am I going to do this? Because that's only going to create more bad fortune for you. So no, look on the bright side. Try and manifest your way out of this. And there's every indication it will work, because you are wise. You are.